So, my thoughts too about our country, like the Democrats, there's a group that the Republicans are labeling, the radical liberal left, and just kind of lumping the Democrats into that bunch. And to be brutally honest, the Democrats are not liberal enough. As much as I support Kamala for the President of the United States, she's way too conservative. I mean, a prosecutor, a lawyer. Hey, I think the last time we really had anyone who was even remotely close to an intellectual was Obama, Clinton, and Kennedy. And we need someone who is a scientist or an artist in the White House. I just feel like people aren't liberal and radical enough. Music and art has become capitalized, and in this decadent society we live in, commercialized to the point where it's lacking substance. And no offense to some of my favorite musicians out there, but you're not pulling your weight as artists. You're selling yourself to these corporations. The music has suffered, the scene has suffered. You're not saying enough, and like the late great Sam Cutler would say, fame is a bullshit trip. And a lot of these musicians are making great music, but they're dumb, and they're not being smart and unifying our culture, especially among the Democrats, and even reaching forth into the Republican Party as much as we should. And it's up to the artists and musicians to do that. Now, granted, there are those out there who are extremely skilled and worked very hard at their craft, like my dad did, went to art school. There are musicians out there who went to music college, Berkeley, and y'all studied. But there are those who it came naturally. It's a gift. Never learned how to read and note music. And music essentially is survival. And art in and of itself is a form of expression. And it shouldn't be capitalized on to the point where it's made into something that only is appreciated when you have the venue for which to display and express yourself on. Meaning, it's limiting when only the famous get recognized, only the wealthy supporting the artist gets recognized, gets some kind of audience for them to listen to. It's that quarterback that's throwing that ball at $60 million a year. It often makes you wonder, wow, why is that person getting $60 million to throw a football when there's plenty of people out there who can throw a football pretty good? It's a system that we live in where it's as if the powers that be, they want to assign labels, and they're using the money to really control things. And I'm very disappointed in what I would have liked to believe in, but I'm not surprised, because my own mother and father used to tell me that their friends would babysit the kids at the Grateful Dead. They were around that whole scene and would explain to me how much it's in reality a cop-out. And I struggled to understand what they meant by a cop-out, meaning it's a cop-out from society where they're not playing the rules, and in many ways, no offense to Bobby, the rich kid foot the bill when times were tough. And there's been those in that family, in that circle, who were affluent, who didn't really know what it's like to struggle, who don't know what it's like to struggle, don't know what it's like to have money that's not available to you to pay for an attorney or a lawyer, because you're different, because you buck the system. And a lot of my friends weren't able to afford that luxury, and they're no longer here now. And I find that there's just this real rift in our culture between the ones who are in positions of power, who should be taking more care of their ilk, so to speak, because you just don't see artists supporting other artists, musicians supporting other musicians. You see a system of commercialized consumerism, and it's always been that way because things that people don't understand, that are confusing to them, that make them question their own religious beliefs, are not palatable, are not marketable to the masses. And the music has suffered to the nth degree. The message that I was brought up to believe in the music has now fallen on the deaf ears of the trust fund kids who can afford to go to the concert, who have children that they want to somehow introduce to this. And it's left me with a bad taste in my mouth of disappointment and disapproval of my own country, my own culture, you can imagine. But my parents already saw that. My parents saw this a long time ago. They had told me, you better have your own thing. You better go to college, which I did. And then 2 months after I graduated college, my mom dies holding my hand in cancer. And that's been over 20 years now where I've been struggling to try to do my thing. And no offense to some of my heroes and musicians out there. There are very few, like Howling Wolf, who saw actual success without getting thrown in a clique or suffering some kind of horrible disease. And look at Howling Wolf, he died way too young. I just feel like I've struggled with this thing of trying to survive versus doing what I love. And I remember pulling out my saxophone in the streets of Paris and being hounded and hunted down because I didn't have a permit to play, and because it caused a scene, it caused a disruption in the metro, which I thought was beautiful, and I love how musicians can do that. But being a young man and having what I can only describe as a taste of having lost my freedom compared to what others have gone through, I had anxiety about getting arrested for playing my saxophone in public in another country, thousands of miles away from home, with no legal green card on an expired visa. So I ended up working my ass off, coming back here, working, doing jobs that I really didn't like to do. And for the first time in my life, I have a job that, when I'm physically capable of doing it, I really don't mind doing it. I like doing it, and I prefer picking people up at the shows and festivals because they're happy, they tip, and they're in a good mood, and it's a way for me to take a break and enjoy some live music and to try to sell my art. And it's making it more and more difficult nowadays that I'm not famous, and that bothers me to a degree, because what the fuck does it mean to be famous, really? That means that a bunch of people basically recognize you and gave you money so you could support whatever it is you do, or you got signed by some record label, or you're just some obnoxious asshole in the Howard Stern show who got himself in the White House. I mean, you can be famous for doing really an atrocity. You can be famous for kind of tricking people. If you listen to some of the music out there, it's got these really slick kind of beats. It's kind of catchy, and it'll get stuck in your head, and you'll hear it a few times, and it'll play it over and over on the radio. But then you say to yourself, man, what the fuck did I just listen to? How did that really make me feel? And what was that person saying? They were bragging about how successful they are, how famous they are, how awesome their car is, how great it is to have people want to hang out with you because you're famous. But it didn't say anything about anything, and at the end of the day, kind of a groovy little beat, and that was it. The same goes for a lot of the commercial art out there. This idea of conceptual art, making people go into a blank, empty room, or doing something ridiculous like Marina Abramovich. You're gonna cut yourself up and do some weird shit to shock people. Great, Marina. Good job with that. She got super famous. Did she help any other artist whatsoever? Even after meeting my dad and I? No. These people are so narcissistic and self-consumed with themselves. They can give a fuck because they just think of their own fans as stupid. Just like Donald Trump and just like a lot of these musicians, they think of these stupid stone kids going to see them as not worthy of their audience, of their attention, because they were that suckered into being a sucker to buy and participate in their performance. And no offense, Marina Abramovich, okay? But it's just another example of how cheap thrills and shocking things and easily digestible and easily understood is so much more palatable for people. And it's funny because I honestly don't care what people think about me. I am confident in myself as being a good, caring, loving, kind human being to not care that people think I'm crazy. If you want to go ahead and say I'm crazy, go ahead. If that makes you happy, you want to call me crazy, you want to call me weird, you want to get scared of me, fine, go ahead. I honestly don't give a fuck what you think, but I do care that you found it interesting to watch my videos, that you may have learned something, or that may have helped you or made you laugh, or I may have offered you that entertainment where you could sit back and be like, haha, yeah, that motherfucker's crazy, and you like my videos and share it, then that I can live with. But you want to go around calling people names, you want to go ahead and call people, stereotyping people, go for it, because there's a name for you out there. And I'm first generation German American. I've experienced and seen things of what the aftermath of what happens when you have a mad fucking crazy person rule a country. I have been in parts of northern Germany and been in parties and tea parties and raves and all sorts of kind of gatherings and events where everyone looked exactly the same, just like me. And it was bizarre to experience being around the Lebensborn generation of kids in Germany because they didn't feel comfortable leaving Germany. And it's funny how that stereotype of an asymmetrical, Aryan-looking person has permeated into America to think that at fashion models, everybody should kind of look this way, and everybody should kind of be this happy, you know, clean-cut kind of person from Connecticut. And our culture is that much easily also duped into thinking that there's a way that things are supposed to be. There's a normal. And our culture has forgotten that we are a melting pot, that income inequality is not equality, that being gay or different or black or purple or Chinese or heterosexual or asexual is somehow wrong because it's not the norm. And the Nazis were the first to try to do that, you know, and this whole Make America Great Again bullshit that Trump is spewing out, it's disgusting. It's taken our country back 100 years, and it's bothering the living shit out of me because people are labeling me the weird, radical, left, crazy person, you know? Hey, fuck you, you know? I'm just trying to do the best I possibly can, and you know, it's easy to make music and art, it surely is, but it's not easy to cure cancer, it's not easy to excise a tumor out of someone's fucking brain. We need to invest more in medicine, and we need to invest more in the technology to make our environment cleaner and to invest in sustainability. Pollution has ruined so much. It's caused the cancer that took away my own parents and my family. That's why I feel extremely strong about the environment. And when I see some asshole saying drill baby, boy, would I like to see some holes drilled in his brain while he's alive telling us drill baby, drill baby. That motherfucker has blood on his hands. There's someone who died to fight in the White House while he encouraged people to run in there with a Confederate flag. You can't tell me that he should be president of the United States. You can't tell me that. Tell that to me to my face. And you better be pointing a gun at me. Fucking people. I grew up in this town. It's conservative and Republican. It bothers me. It's caused pain for my family, pain for my only sibling and me.